Hello and welcome back. Today I'm making the most delicious cookies and cream cupcakes with a delicious cookies and cream buttercream on top. Let's dive straight into it. So I've got a really simple, just a small cupcake recipe. I'll only be making about 12 today, but I'm using the method that I like to call the throw it all in method. So basically we just combine everything in a stand mixer or in a bowl with some beaters, or you can use a wooden spoon. So I'm just preheating my oven to 170 degrees Celsius, and now I'm going to start by adding in all my ingredients. So I'm starting here with 1 cup of self-raising flour, 2/3 of a cup of caster sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of bicarb soda. So the main leveling agent in this is the self-raising flour, but the bicarb and the soda is going to help it raise a little bit more. I'm also going to add in 125 grams of butter. Now this butter has to be very soft. As I think we all know, baking works much better when all the ingredients are room temperature, and this recipe works well when the butter is nice and soft. Not runny and melted, but just nice and soft. I'm then going to come along with 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil and 2 eggs. And I'm just going to mix this for about 30 seconds until they're all combined, and give it a nice beat on medium just for a minute or so until everything is nice and fluffy and combined. Now I'm going to slowly start to add in my remaining ingredients. So I'm going to add in 1/4 cup of sour cream, which is going to add a bit of a nice balance of flavour, and going to add some nice moistness to these cupcakes as well. I'm going to come in with 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract and 3/4 cup of chopped Oreos. I'm just going to mix this slowly until it's combined. Alright, so now this is nice and combined. I had a little taste and it is delicious. Now I reckon I might only get 8 cupcakes out of this. As I said, it is quite a small mix. You can very easily double the recipe. Personally, I find if I bake too many yummy things like this, I will eat it all and it'll make me fat. So for me, sometimes it's good to make a small batch. Okay, so I'm probably gonna fill, I'd say about halfway, just over halfway of these cupcake containers. This will rise, remember, so you don't want to fill them all the way up. Now I just wanted to touch on the reasons behind some of these ingredients in the recipe. I know there's many different ways to make cupcakes, and many of them are really good. But as I'm sure many people would have heard, there's a big thing in baking which compares butter-based recipes and oil-based recipes. Now butter-based recipes, as you probably well know, taste really good, but they can very easily become dry. They can dry right out. The butter doesn't keep the cupcake moist, or cake. So that's why people sometimes use oil, apart from oil being healthier, supposedly. But the oil just doesn't taste as good as butter. So the way around that is I like to add my normal butter recipe, but I like to add just a little bit of oil, just a neutral tasting oil, like vegetable oil. So this will keep the batter a bit moister, and also the addition of sour cream. I think the sour cream is nice as it can balance with the flavour a little bit, but it also adds more kind of moistness to the cupcakes. You can add milk if you don't have sour cream. You could add Greek yogurt, anything kind of like that will help. Now funnily enough, I've said that I'll probably only fill 8, but maybe I'll get 12 out of this actually. The addition of those Oreos can be a bit deceiving. Alright, here we go. So I filled 11 of these, and I've just leveled them out a little bit too. So they will level out themselves a little bit, but you will have noticed this batter is a little bit on the drier side, so just even it out a little bit so it cooks nicely. So as I said, I'm going to put this into my oven at 170 degrees Celsius. I'm going to put them in for about 16 to 18 minutes, just check on them. Depends on your oven and how quickly things cook in it. But yeah, it's ready when a skewer is poked into it and comes out and it's dry. Alright, so my cupcakes are out of the oven and they're looking fantastic. But they'll need to cool completely before I move on to the buttercream icing. But to prepare that, I've got 200 grams of butter out because I want it to become nice and soft for when I do the icing. Alright, so I'm back. It's been about 45 minutes, an hour. These are all nice and cool now. It has been hard not to... I've had to resist not eating these. They smell amazing and they look really good too. But now it is time to make the Oreo buttercream. But today it's such a great day. So it's Sunday today, and it is the most amazing day to be baking. It is a really rainy, now that we're approaching winter here, it's cooling down and it's wet, and it's just nice to be inside baking and smell the lovely smells of cupcakes. Alright, so onto the butter. So to make really nice, light, whipped up buttercream, you need to start with nice soft butter. So when you touch it, your fingers should kind of sink in a bit, it'll bounce back a bit. You don't want it to be melted by any means, definitely not melted, but you want it to be soft, not hard. And the second thing is that you need to whip it for, I'd say, a good 5 minutes. I think some people put it in sometimes for 30 seconds, a minute. It's whipped up, but it's still yellow and it hasn't had enough time for air to come through and to really become light. And it'll be rich and heavy, and it won't really be as nice as maybe a cupcake you have when you go out or buy one from the bakery or a store. So I'm going to start by placing my butter into my stand mixer, and again you can use beaters. I'm going to use the paddle attachment here, and I'm just going to beat this on a medium speed for about 5 minutes. Alright, so this is what it's supposed to look like. It is really nice and pale, so I've whipped it for about 5 minutes. Just on a medium-high speed, and it's looking good. And by the way, it was 200 grams of butter, I don't think I mentioned that. So now that this is nice and whipped, I want to add my icing sugar in. And I have 450 grams of icing sugar, which I have sifted, and I'm going to add half at a time. Now just beware, icing sugar, if you haven't done this before, icing sugar will blow up everywhere if you put this on fast. So if you beat it with your stand mixer or with a handheld beater, just start slowly until it mixes and incorporates together, and then you want to go on high, because otherwise it's just going to go and go everywhere, and it probably still will a bit, but yeah, just a forewarning, because it will completely mess up your kitchen. So yeah, to start, I'm going to put half in, I'm going to beat it for a couple of minutes. Once it's nicely combined, I'll add the other half in, beat it for a couple more minutes again until it's nice and light and fluffy. And then from there, I like to add just a little bit of vanilla extract, probably about half a teaspoon. So this is exactly what we're looking for. It's really, really white. It's probably a bit hard to see on camera, but it's really, really white, light and fluffy. It's not dense and really kind of buttery. So that really comes down to whipping that butter at the start for a good 5 minutes. But yeah, so we're pretty much done now. I just added my vanilla extract. One thing to note is if it does get a little bit dry, you can add a tablespoon or so of water or milk. That's just going to loosen it up and make it a little bit more runny. But just remember, you can obviously add more liquid, but you can't take it out. So just try and add a little bit at a time if you are finding it a bit dry. But remembering too, it will start off dry, and the more you beat it, it'll combine, and yeah, it might surprise you. So just wait after a couple minutes. If it's still too dry, then add some liquid. So what I want to do now is just lightly fold in my chopped Oreos. So I have about 3/4 of a cup. I don't want this to turn to like an ugly grey-brown colour. I just want kind of smears and a mix of Oreos through. So yeah, I'm just going to chuck these in. So I've spooned about half of that icing mixture into my piping bag here. Now the piping bag for me is just the easiest way to spread it. You can use a knife, whatever. I just want it to look nice and do a bit of a swirl. And as well, I've just put my piping bag in a cup just so it stands up while I'm doing it. Now this can be a bit messy. You just want to gently push this down until it's just coming out of the tip. Alright, give it a little bit of a twist. And as you move this over the cupcake, you just want to gently move this around and squeeze gently on the bag. You want to start on the outside and just do a gentle swirl, not moving too fast. Alright, so my cupcakes are now all iced. I'm not gonna lie, this was a disaster actually. So I first started with, it was like a star end. So it had, this one had really nice like looking swirls, and then the chopped up Oreos in there all got stuck and I had to stop using it. So then I went to a bigger one, and then when I was doing it, it actually broke the piping bag. I don't know, I had terrible trouble. I haven't had that kind of trouble before. I don't know what happened. I think I didn't chop the Oreos fine enough, but anyway, I ended up just going with some nice kind of dollops just with the straight piping bag. So it doesn't have the nice looking swirls I wanted, but it's just a nice dollop on top. It's not going to stop here though. I'm going to add some mini Oreos on top. So hopefully this should outweigh that bit of a mess. So if you don't have mini Oreos, you can just get a normal Oreo and chop it in half and put it in. These are just like little cute Oreos which look cute on the cupcakes. And here we go, all done. I cannot wait to try this. These look amazing. Weren't quite the vision I had in my head originally, but they still look pretty cool. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you want to see some more stuff.